Love. Love is a choice. Love is a battlefield. Love is contagious and hopeful. Love is so many things. But what is love not? Have I ever been in love? Do I know that I've been in love? How do you know when someone's the one? Is it a feeling you get? Is it an overwhelming sensation? How do you know if you're in love? Love is everything. I have been with some people that I really question if I've been in love, but I honestly couldn't tell you if I have. I definitely think I have, but if you think and you aren't 100% sure, have you? In this episode, we will be discussing love. What's your point of view of the love story of you and Grandma?
The rocky road.
I was out on a date with another boy. I really gotta tell this.
This is my favorite story of all grandparents.
We went to a friend's house and we were partying. He sat down beside me and then we started talking, and like back then we had frayed at the bottom jeans instead of hems. And so he was pulling these little strings off of my pant, tying knots to put them together. I wasn't paying any attention to the other boy. So he said, if you'd rather be with him, I'll leave. And I just looked at him and said, well, leave then. And that was very mean, and I'm really not a mean person. But in my defense, I was a little, I don't want to say it, but high. And didn't really care what he thought.
Well, I met him in high school, and of course, he didn't really know me. And I was like best friend, and he liked somebody else. And I was giving him advice how to win her over. And it didn't work. And then we started, being just buddies, and he asked me out.
What's the love story of you and Bill?
Aww.
It was definitely love at first sight for me. It took her a while to figure out that she needed me.
I almost threw him away. I told Sarah, because Sarah was the one who set us up to date, because I said when I came back to Michigan, I did not date from 96 until 2006. I had, a couple of dates here and there, but nobody serious. Mm-hmm. And so then when my youngest children were 13 years old and Josh was like 17, I told everybody around me that loved me, I said, my parents and my daughters and friends of mine, I said, okay, if you've got anybody that you think I should date, please, I want to start dating. But I'm not. Obviously, you could look at the scattered wreckage of my life and you could see I do not make good decisions. And that's what I told them. So you see somebody you think I should date, I will date them. I don't care what they look like. I don't care what they're doing. I want you to pick me a good person to date. So Sarah found me Billy.
Anyways, the two couples were talking one night about hooking Shar up, and the other girl, her parents knew me. So they introduced us, and we met. We were just gonna go for a motorcycle ride.
And I dated Billy a couple of times, and I was just like, he smiled too much, and he used words, and I thought he was, gay. And he was hilarious. He had great stories, but I would look at him and I would think, nope. He was just way too nice, and I'm gonna have to keep being, the boss. And I don't want to be the boss anymore. I wanted to have a partner, but I didn't want to be the boss of that partner. So I told Sarah, I'm going to break up with Billy. She yelled at me, and she told me that I would not know someone that was decent for me, and that what she was going to do is find me an alcoholic man, and that would be the one I was going to fall in love with, because that's what I knew. And I realized she was very right. And I said, I'll keep dating Bill, and for some reason, I don't know, I just started looking at him differently.
And I've probably seen her, other than a couple occasions, or like when I've been trucking, I've been with her every day since. I
fell in love, and I'm still in love, and it's 15 years. That's the story, is he sings to me, and he dances with me, and he makes me dinner. And he helps me. He's like perfect.
I think we got on the motorcycle and might go to dinner or something.
We met through a friend, and we were riding motorcycles at the time. Ended up getting married. took our honeymoon to Texas on a motorcycle.
How do you know when you love someone? When you can think about them anytime, anywhere, in any situation. Like, just like talking to you. I could be talking to you about ice fishing, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about the person I really love.
You know, you think about them all the time. You think about, well, she would like this, so I'll get this for her.
You don't want to be without them. And when you're apart, you feel like you miss them really bad. You'd rather be with them than without them.
He just, every time that I think of him, even now, he makes me smile. Just thinking about him.
You want to be with them.
You'll do anything for them. Love them deeply, you'll do anything for them.
And it doesn't matter if they're dressed up to go to the ball or they're dressed up to go to a bonfire. You love them the same way.
Even after I heard other people that had looked at Billy through their eyes, and they would say something about him like, oh my gosh, he looks old because he's bald. And that didn't affect me. I just said, his eyes are so young.
So do you believe in soulmates, or do you believe you can be
Soulmates.
compatible? Really?
Totally.
So how do you know when someone's the one, or do you not believe in soulmates? Or
Oh no, I definitely do.
To be soulmates. I don't understand how you can be compatible with a bunch of people.
When you're with somebody in your 20s, you got to be able to still have feelings for them in your 60s. And if you're only compatible, then what happens if those changes are no longer compatible? So you need the love there to make it work.
You know somebody is the one when they appreciate how much you love them. If you can pour your heart into somebody, you can love them to death. You can think about them all the time. But if they don't give a shit about you, or they don't care how much you think about them, they don't really appreciate it. Because there's so many people that won't appreciate it. You know, you don't have to be a GQ model. You know, you don't have to be the most gorgeous girl out of a magazine. But as long as you can appreciate how much I love you, we're going to get along just fine.
At one point in that week, he made $15 for a paycheck. When I realized that I wanted him with me. And it didn't matter what he made. It didn't even matter. And for me, I had been scrabbling from the whole time that I moved back here. And all I wanted was to see him.
Like at one point, he was going to take off and get a job somewhere out of state. And I was pretty heartbroken over that.
If you plan on doing something, you kind of want to include her or ask her if it's okay.
Just know. You can feel it in your heart.
I want to say easy. It's not easy, but it's easier. I don't know. I guess you just kind of feel like that's where you're supposed to be. That's what's supposed to be. And you're comfortable. You're 100% comfortable in the whole situation.
what's your best advice on how to keep a marriage healthy?
Communication.
Number one, you got to be able to communicate. You got to be able to talk. You can argue, but you got to be able to talk. And there's a difference. I mean, arguing, you're trying to make your point. You're trying to get your point across. You're trying to be louder than they are. You're trying to talk over them. Talking is just talking. Just tell me what you got to say. I'll tell you what I got to say. We're not going to blame each other for things. So I'd say communication is one thing. You know, you always let the other person know what you're thinking. Like whether it hurts your feelings or you're thinking about blowing $20 on something. There's no secrets. You got to talk when you're in a relationship.
Know that there's going to be problems and know that you got to work through them. You can't walk out. You can't use the word divorce. You cannot go into it with the attitude that you can get out of it.
When I was growing up, a lot of people said, never go to bed mad. Always talk it out. I think I completely disagree with that statement.
Really?
I think it's best, in my experience, it's best that if you're having a disagreement and it can't be settled, you're going to argue till 3 or 4 in the morning, go to bed and get over it. You know, go to bed, sleep on it a little bit. If you get up in the morning, everybody's rested, everybody's had a chance to sleep on it, and maybe the cooler heads will prevail. But if you go to fighting and fighting and fighting until 3 or 4 in the morning, somebody's gonna give in because they're too tired. Like I'm too tired. You're right. I was wrong. Let's just go to bed. Well, you didn't solve anything because in my heart, I still think I was right. I just gave up and I was too tired. So I say, go to bed mad. Wake up in a different. Try to give it another shot tomorrow.
And if we can't work it out, he said, we're gonna go to bed and we're gonna go to sleep, and it's gonna be okay. He said, we're gonna wake up tomorrow morning, and you're gonna love me, and I'm gonna love you. And if you still want to talk about it, he said, after a good night's sleep, we'll be able to think of something that will help the other one understand your point of view. He said, I'm not going to stay up all night with you fighting. I said, you can do that?
I mean, you got to take the good with the not so good. If you want something out of it, then you got to put something into it. You can't expect one person to continually give and not get nothing in return.
Be honest. Be affectionate. If Roger hugs me instead of gives me flowers, that means a whole lot more.
I just say trust and love.
Find things that you have in common, but also keep things that you have that are different. I read, Billy does not. And he does not mind if I will sit there and read. And a lot of couples, I think, are very jealous. If they're there, I want you paying attention to me. We found things that we could do together, and we did them together. Never be afraid to let your partner show you something.
It's been a long one.
Who knew it would last this long? I mean, I love her.